The first thing everyone saw was a little girl hugging a cardboard box outside an apartment building, while rain soaked everything she owned. Her mother stood frozen beside her, clutching a folded eviction notice with trembling hands. Across the sidewalk, the landlord watched without a trace of sympathy. "You should have thought about your rent before today," he said loud enough for every neighbor to hear. The little girl looked up at her mother. "Mom, where are we going?" The woman couldn't answer. She simply lowered her head as strangers watched the most humiliating moment of her life. Then a black luxury sedan slowly pulled to the curb. Everyone assumed it belonged to another tenant. No one noticed the elderly man stepping out while staring directly at the eviction notice in the mother's shaking hand. His expression changed instantly. He whispered only 6 words. This should never have happened. Within the next hour, the landlord would discover something that would destroy everything he believed he controlled, because the woman he had just thrown onto the street wasn't about to lose her home. She had unknowingly become the legal owner of the entire apartment building. But no one, not even she, knew it yet. And when the truth finally surfaced, every cruel decision made that morning would come back with devastating consequences. 2 days earlier, 32-year-old Angela Brooks wasn't asking for charity. She was asking for time. After losing her nursing assistant job, when the rehabilitation center unexpectedly closed, she'd spent every waking hour searching for work. She had attended interviews, delivered food, cleaned houses, sold nearly everything she owned except the small toys her 7-year-old daughter, Lily, treasured. Every dollar she earned disappeared into groceries, electricity, and school supplies. Rent had become impossible. Still, Angela never stopped trying. Every morning she left before sunrise. Every evening she returned with another application submitted and another promise that someone would call. But no one did. She was only 6 weeks behind. Not 6 months, not a year, just 6 weeks. She believed any reasonable landlord would understand. Unfortunately, her landlord wasn't interested in understanding anyone. His name was Victor Langford. He owned several aging apartment complexes across the city. To the tenants, he had a reputation. He loved reminding everyone that they lived there only because he allowed it. Repairs were delayed. Complaints were ignored. Late fees multiplied. And every eviction became a public performance. Victor believed fear kept tenants obedient. Humiliation kept them punctual. When Angela entered his office carrying a neatly organized folder of job applications, interview confirmations, and a written payment plan, she thought evidence would matter. Victor barely glanced at it. "I don't rent apartments to excuses." Angela swallowed hard. "I'm starting a new interview process next week." "I didn't ask. I only need another month." "You needed another month last week." "My daughter has nowhere else to go." Victor leaned back in his chair. "That's not my problem." Angela stared at him in disbelief. "You'd really put a child on the street?" Victor shrugged. "Business doesn't have feelings." The words echoed in her mind long after she walked away. Outside the office, another tenant quietly handed Angela a grocery bag. "We're praying something changes." Angela smiled through tears. She had no idea just how dramatically things were about to change. The next morning, the sheriff's deputies arrived. The deputies remained respectful. One even apologized. "We're only enforcing the court order." Angela nodded. "I understand." She never argued. She never shouted. She simply packed what little she could while Lily carefully placed her favorite stuffed rabbit into a backpack. Neighbors lined the sidewalks. Some cried. Others secretly recorded the eviction. Victor walked outside wearing an expensive tailored coat, as though attending a celebration. He wanted everyone to witness what happened when rent wasn't paid. He pointed toward the sidewalk. "Leave the furniture." "I bought most of myself," Angela replied. "Not anymore." Several tenants gasped. One elderly woman muttered, "He's gone too far." Victor ignored her. He enjoyed having an audience. As movers placed Angela's belongings beside the curb, Lily picked up a family photograph that had fallen from a box. The glass had shattered. She looked at the broken picture. "Can we fix it, Mom?" Angela forced herself to smile. "We'll fix it together." That tiny moment broke more hearts than the eviction itself. People weren't watching a tenant lose an apartment. They were watching a mother fight to protect her daughter's hope. Then the black sedan arrived. The elderly gentleman stepped out carrying a leather briefcase. He wasn't dressed like a tenant. He wasn't dressed like a lawyer either. He looked more like someone accustomed to being listened to. Victor frowned. "Can I help you?" The stranger ignored him. Instead, he walked directly toward Angela. "Excuse me, are you Angela Brooks?" Angela hesitated. "Yes. I'm sorry to ask this under these circumstances." He looked around at the boxes. "When exactly did this eviction begin?" Victor interrupted. "This is private property." The elderly man slowly turned. "Is it?" The question sounded strangely confident. Victor folded his arms. "It certainly is." The man nodded thoughtfully. "Interesting." Angela couldn't understand why he seemed more curious than surprised. Neither could anyone else. The stranger introduced himself as Harold Bennett. He explained that he represented an estate law firm. Angela blinked. "There must be some mistake." "I sincerely hope there is." Victor laughed. "If you're here trying to stop an eviction, you're too late." Harold never looked at him. Instead, he opened a briefcase and removed several official documents. "Ms. Brooks, did you recently receive any certified mail you didn't open?" Angela looked embarrassed. "I've been avoiding bills." Harold's expression softened. "It wasn't a bill." He carefully unfolded a document. "It was notification that your great-uncle, Samuel Brooks, passed away 3 months ago." Angela searched her memory. "I barely knew him." Harold nodded. "He knew you." Victor rolled his eyes. "Can we hurry this along?" Harold finally looked directly at him. "Certainly." He handed Angela the first page. Her eyes widened. "I inherited something?" "You inherited everything." Silence spread across the parking lot. Angela stared at him. "I don't understand." Harold took a slow breath. "Your great-uncle owned several investment properties." Victor chuckled. "So she inherited a few $1,000s. Harold's face remained expressionless. "No." He flipped another page. "She inherited 8 apartment buildings." Nobody moved. Nobody even spoke. Then Harold read one address aloud. Everyone recognized it immediately. It was the address where they were standing. Angela looked from the paper to the building behind her. "No." Harold nodded. "Yes." Victor's smile disappeared. Confusion exploded across the crowd. Neighbors whispered. Phones started recording again. Angela looked completely overwhelmed. "There has to be some mistake." "There isn't." Harold showed her the probate documents. "The estate cleared yesterday morning." He paused. "You became the legal owner approximately 3 hours before today's eviction began." Victor suddenly interrupted. "That's impossible." Harold calmly produced another folder. County records were updated at 9:22 this morning. Victor's confidence cracked. "But I own this building." "You owned it." Harold corrected him. "Your purchase agreement included a reversion clause tied to unpaid acquisition financing." Victor's face turned pale. "What?" Harold continued. "Your loan default triggered an automatic transfer back into Samuel Brooks' estate several weeks ago. The probate court finalized today's transfer to Ms. Brooks." Angela wasn't just another tenant. She had unknowingly become Victor's landlord before he threw her out. Everything suddenly made sense. Harold hadn't arrived to stop an eviction. He had arrived to meet the building's new owner. Victor immediately demanded to see the paperwork. Harold allowed it. The landlord's hands visibly shook. Every signature matched. Every seal was authentic. Every date destroyed his position. One deputy quietly spoke into his radio. Another looked at Angela with sympathy. Victor forced a laugh. "This changes nothing." Harold slowly closed the folder. It changes everything. Victor frowned. The eviction already happened. Harold nodded, against the property's legal owner. The deputies exchanged uncomfortable glances. One finally spoke. "Sir, we may have a serious legal problem." Victor turned toward them. "You work for me today." "No." The deputy answered firmly. "We work for the court." That single sentence shifted the balance of power. For the first time all morning, Victor looked afraid. Harold wasn't finished. "There is another matter." Victor closed his eyes. "What now?" The estate audit uncovered maintenance records. Angela looked confused. "What maintenance records?" Harold handed her another file. Inside were dozens of inspection reports. Black mold, broken fire alarms, unsafe electrical wiring, repeated city violations, ignored repair requests. Every complaint carried Victor's signature acknowledging the problems. None had been fixed. Several tenants recognized their own names. One woman burst into tears. "I knew he ignored us." Another elderly tenant raised her hand. "My husband fell because those stairs were never repaired." Suddenly, the eviction wasn't the biggest story anymore. It was only the beginning. Within minutes, city housing inspectors arrived after deputies requested immediate assistance. They walked through the building. Their expressions grew darker with every apartment. One inspector quietly photographed exposed wiring. Another measured dangerous structural cracks. The final report took less than an hour. Several buildings owned by Victor were declared unsafe pending emergency repairs. News reporters arrived. Cameras rolled. Victor, who loved public humiliation when it happened to others, suddenly found himself surrounded by microphones. Did you knowingly evict the building's legal owner? Did you ignore safety violations? Did you profit while tenants lived in dangerous conditions? Victor refused to answer. For once, silence hurt him more than words ever could. Angela stood quietly beside Lily. She still couldn't believe any of it. "I don't even know how to own an apartment building." Harold smiled warmly. "You don't have to know everything today." Lily tugged on her mother's sleeve. "So, do we still have a home?" Angela looked toward the building, then at the tenants who had supported her during her hardest weeks. She took a deep breath. "Yes." She turned toward Harold. "I have one request." "What is it?" "No families get thrown out while we're figuring this out." Harold smiled. "I thought you might say that." That decision spread to the crowd faster than the inheritance itself. People weren't cheering because Angela had become wealthy. They were cheering because the right person had been given power. Several months later, the apartments looked completely different. Broken elevators worked again. Fresh paint covered cracked walls. Children safely played outside. Maintenance requests were answered within days instead of months. Angela hired experienced property managers, but insisted on meeting every tenant herself. She remembered exactly how powerless they once felt. Victor eventually faced multiple civil lawsuits, housing code penalties, and financial investigations connected to years of neglect. His reputation never recovered, but one moment near the end surprised everyone. Angela received an offer to pursue the maximum damages possible against Victor. The amount could have completely ruined him forever. Many people urged her to do it. After everything he had done, they believed he deserved nothing less. Angela thought about Lily. She remembered the broken photograph, the rain, the humiliation. Then she made a decision that divided opinions. She accepted compensation for tenants and repairs, but declined to pursue additional personal revenge beyond what the law required. When asked why, she answered quietly, "Justice repairs what's broken. Revenge often creates something new that's broken." Some applauded. Others believed she had been too merciful. It became the most debated part of the entire story. Maybe there was no perfect answer, but everyone agreed on one thing. Power had revealed two very different kinds of people. One man believed ownership gave him permission to humiliate others. One woman believed ownership created a responsibility to protect them. And that difference changed hundreds of lives. Because sometimes the greatest inheritance isn't money. It's the opportunity to become the kind of person you once desperately needed. What would you have done if you were Angela? Would you have pursued every possible legal punishment against Victor? Or do you think she made the right decision by choosing justice without revenge?